Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, aka Spearsy. I am your Friday host, and today we are talking about kind of getting lost. So the question asker talks about watching all sorts of YouTube videos and getting all sorts of information and feeling lost. So the question asker talks about having an affinity for the elements and the earth, and at the same time feeling, close to their ancestors and just all this information and feeling kind of at a loss of what's next, what do I do, and where do we go from here? And then they ask, do we ever feel lost? And so I'm going to do my best to kind of answer this as much as I can. So I think that I definitely didn't have the initial experience that the question asker talks about. So I'm a hereditary. I've talked about that before. So my faith was presented to me. I didn't have to go to YouTube videos or books or things like that in order to find information on my faith. It was what we did at home. So that's a little different. I didn't really feel lost at that point in trying to decide on a path, because my path was basically already decided for me. It's what the blood calls you to. Obviously, we had the option of choosing. However, it is what it is. That's just sort of there. So, in that respect, I didn't really experience that. But what I can talk about, which I think, is definitely part of it, is what I've done since then. And so I love to incorporate a lot of things into my path. I think that has been one of the things that I've really enjoyed so much about having a wonderful extended pagan community. I really, really get a lot from learning about paganism in all different aspects and from all different walks of life and all different continents and time periods and all of that. To me, learning about what other pagans are believing and what other pagans are doing is such a rewarding thing. It's so beautiful to be able to learn about other traditions and other paths. And I've incorporated some of those things into my family's path. Well, I shouldn't say. So my family hasn't incorporated it. I've incorporated it into my path now that I will pass on to my wife and I's children. So that's something that'll be really important, is adding those new things in. And so when I think about friends and other people that I know in the community who have faced this problem where there's so much information out there, and how do you filter it out, and how do you pick a path, and how do you do something like that? The biggest thing I can say is, finding things that you can do in the moment. So instead of planning out your whole path, right, find something that calls to you in the moment. Does this particular ritual, for the elements, does that call to you right now? Are you feeling called to it? Do you want to try it? Then go for it. Then do that. Pick your moment and go moment by moment and do a full year of that. Use your book of shadows. Use whatever you might use. Some people call it a book of shadows. Some people call it a grimoire. Some people just use a notebook. Whatever it might be, but keep a log of what you do and how you feel about it. Would be my suggestion. Again, you don't have to do any of this. But I would kind of keep a log of it and, and do a full year of what calls to you, what worked, what didn't work, right? And then look back on it and see what you have. Because sometimes, when we just look at the minutia of it, like, ooh, this is interesting, ooh, this is interesting, we don't see what actually works in our day-to-day life, because it might be great. A reclaiming tradition, for example, might be perfect for you. But, once you get into it, it might not feel like the right fit, whereas, something else might. And so try it out, see what happens, because it might be that you're creating your own path and something that works for you. And so that would be my best advice, is to try things out in the moment. How does it feel? And fully invest, fully give yourself over to that moment, and recognize, though, that the next moment could be something from a different tradition and a different path. That could be right too, and you might need to incorporate. So for me, I definitely know I'm going to be incorporating many things that were never part of my path when I was growing up. For example, I am very, very attuned to Kali Ma. For me, that deity is very close to my heart. And I did not grow up with Kali Ma. Kali was never part of what we believed or what we practiced growing up. It was probably one of the furthest things from what we did. However, I have felt a real connection with her over the years, and so she'll be an essential part of when I teach our kids. So that's something. Also, my wife was raised Catholic, and she has a lot of traditions, wonderful traditions, that she wants to bring to the kids as well. She's definitely much more Christo-pagan leaning, but the kids will be raised pagan, fully pagan, mainly because we aren't looking to add in some certain concepts when they're really young, the formative years, like before 5. We're really not a fan of the concept of hell, the devil, or sin. Bringing those concepts in for a child is can be kind of detrimental in our belief, and it can be problematic. And so for us, we don't want to introduce those concepts later on for religious awareness and cultural awareness and all sorts of things. They can certainly learn about those things, and they'll be able to choose whatever they want. And we just don't want fear to really be a part of their life in the early formative years. So I would say definitely look at, feeling it out and trying it. Sometimes it's good to, just do it. Can I say the trademark thing on here? I mean, just do it. So yes, you've seen all the YouTube videos, you've seen all these things. However, sometimes one of the best things can just be, all right, you know what? There's too much information. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This one, I'm picking it. It feels right. I'm going for it, and just do it. And see how it feels, and see what works and what doesn't work, and journal that and record that down, so that then oh, okay, so that didn't really work for me. So rituals that include that part maybe aren't my biggest thing. I mean, some people really struggle with, speaking out loud, okay? So that's something, speaking out loudly, right? And calling really loudly. So I know that's something I personally struggle with. Even though I'm an incredibly loud and talkative person, when I'm in ritual, I'm very quiet. And so a lot of what I do happens in more hushed tones. And so for me, it's something I'm going to work on, because with kids in the picture, I want to make sure that I'm speaking clearly and loudly enough. However, when I do personal ritual, I'm much quieter. And so that's something where I think that, find your groove and find what might work for you. And then morph your viewing, I guess, around rituals that start to meet more of those needs, or even activities, not just rituals. But also look for, all right, what are you getting out of a particular deity or a particular pantheon, or how you're approaching different elements, kind of look at that and your relationship and find what works. I mean, you're going to find a natural inclination. Once you start doing stuff, you're going to find that certain things are going to feel better than others. And so if it feels better, do more of that, right? And maybe throw in a challenge once in a while to see how it feels, and kind of create your own path around that. Nothing says you have to be one path or another. You can incorporate all those different elements, and it's what I definitely intend to do. So yeah, that's about it. Happy 9th anniversary to the channel. I'm so honored to be a part of this channel, and have been for a few years now. So it's wonderful. I will be doing more videos on my personal channel, but frankly, I'm busy. I'm really busy, and it can be hard sometimes to get the videos in. And so I love having this channel where I still get to connect with you, at least, a couple times a month, and be able to answer questions and to do my part, whatever that might be, even if it, it does nothing but maybe brings a smile to one person's face, or one person felt loved by it, then it's all worth it. So that would be my biggest message for today, is just sending lots of love everybody's way, and aloha from Maui. And yeah, so until next time, guys, as always, blessed be and aloha.